Open admissions is defined as is a type of unselective and non-competitive college admissions process in the United States in which the only criterion for entrance is a high school diploma or a general educational development certificate. What this means is that this policy gives a fair opportunity to all students who have graduated high school the chance to attend college. CUNY's first time using the policy was used in 1970, and that demonstrated the persistence of the controversy over the whole equal education opportunity. After World War II, there was a high demand for higher education in the country, and this would go up and lead into the 1970s. This affected the demand for higher education, which caused limited amount of spots in college.
In the beginning of the 1970s, before this new admissions policy was in full effect, students who graduated from high school with at least an 80 average or ranked within the top 50% of their class had the opportunity to enroll in senior colleges, leaving all the other students who didn't meet that standard no choice to go to college. With open admissions policy, it was important because now students weren't limited to solely meet that criteria in order to go to college. Now that the additional standards were taken away, more students, including minorities, were able to attend and get into colleges. Even though this policy was successful in giving the ability to high school graduates to attend college, there were some negative effects.
Open admissions was a very controversial topic and caused an uproar and protests. The amount of people that would attend a single protest was unbelievable. The issue that people had was that they felt that some students did not earn the right to attend college and wouldn't succeed. The students were not happy that their college opportunities were being taken away, so they also united and protested. An example of this would be in 1969, when Black and Puerto Rican students at City College fought and won a protest concerning open admissions at the CUNY University of New York, and that resulted in a radical transformation of this university. Later on, the student body behind these protests doubled, and within 7 years, the white student body became the minority student group. In 1999, the CUNY Board of Trustees voted to eliminate remedial classes at CUNY's senior colleges, thereby finally eliminating a central pillar of the policy of open admissions and effectively ending it.
Under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, all students are entitled to resource equity. All students, no matter their race, color, or national origin, deserve equal access to educational resources like academic and extracurricular programs, strong teaching, facilities, technology, and instructional materials. One of the main goals of the open admissions policy at CUNY was to diversify the student body at the colleges. In order to achieve this, both the Search for Education, Elevation, and Knowledge, aka SEEK program, as well as College Discovery were expanded upon. Although these state-established programs were considered to be race-neutral, they aided immensely in terms of integrating financially and academically disadvantaged students into the campuses of CUNY's senior colleges. Immediately after the enactment of open admissions, all CUNY campuses began to showcase the diversity of the New York City public school system. In 1969, the ethnic composition of CUNY undergraduates had been 14.8% Black, 4% Puerto Rican, and 77.4% white. By 1970, 16.9% were Black, 4.9% were Puerto Rican, and 74% were white. By 1974, 25.6% of CUNY students were Black, 7.4% were Puerto Rican, 55.7% were white, and 11.3% were members of other racial or ethnic groups. At John Jay College specifically, before open admissions, there were 1,475 students total enrolled in 1967, 84.7% of which were white, 12.2% were Black, 1.9% Puerto Rican, and 1.3% were of ethnicities unknown. After the enactment of this policy, the college became much more diversified. In 1974, 9,708 students total were enrolled, 55.6% being white, 26% Black, 11.3% Puerto Rican, 1.5% of other Hispanic and/or Latino ethnicities, 0.7% Asian, another 0.7% American Indian, and 4.2% other. Despite the large gains made in the diversity department, it proved difficult to truly ensure equal access of all educational opportunities and facilities at the distinct campuses because newly admitted minority students were not fully accepted by the majority group. This was namely because the aforementioned undergrads were looked upon as synonymous with remedial education, under preparation, and low status in general.
During the first few years of this policy's implementations, many voiced concerns over what open admissions meant the CUNY system as a whole. Freshmen entering CUNY campuses in 1970 demonstrated to have reading and math skills lower than the expected grade level. 25% of students tested were reading at or below a ninth grade level, and an additional 40% scored between the ninth and 11th grade levels. This proved to be a major predicament, especially at the senior colleges, and the blame was on the New York City public high schools, which were considered to be declining in quality, especially in the 1970s. David E. Lavin, a sociology professor at Lehman College, conducted a study in the fall of 1971 that revealed 72% of black students tested for the study scored below an 8th grade level in either reading or math, as did 65% of Hispanic students and 20% of white students. In order to facilitate their means of access to achievement, open admissions allowed for the remediation services to be provided. Across all CUNY campuses, the majority of incoming freshmen proved to be in dire need of such support services. The introduction of associate degrees program was introduced at the senior colleges as another means of accommodating new undergrad entering as a result of this policy. However, many believed open admissions was diminishing the value of CUNY institutions, and instead of providing equal access, they saw the students as placeholders for other, more qualified to be there.
Open admissions at CUNY has been a hot-button issue for decades, and arguments can be made for both sides of the pertinent question: should open admissions be abolished or not? The main similarity between each side is that a variety of factors come into play when arguing for either one. The fact of the matter is that education officials make it seem as if a decision has to be made between campus diversity and a selective reputation among other colleges or universities across the country. The data presented earlier demonstrates that, to a degree, this may be true indeed. However, it is important to emphasize that CUNY stands for the City University of New York, which means that CUNY has the obligation to reflect both where the majority of its students come from New York City public high schools and the ethnic demographics of New York City itself. CUNY has undertaken the responsibility of educating such young adults, and open admissions is reflective on the system's dual purpose.